Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. This is Fish Vlog number 35, and I thought I would start off today's video by testing the flow through this new sponge filter. And I'm going to do so by taking a suggestion from a viewer, and that is to either drop in some dyed water, like from methylene blue, or in this case, this is green water from my infusoria cultures, the ones I feed to small baby fish, and hopefully we'll get to see this being taken up by either the sponge or by the base. Now, when I originally designed this filter, the flow through the base was always intended to be quite slow. It isn't, like the one on the right is a commercial one, and that base is just strictly as a weight, just to keep the filter in place. As the bubbles go through it, they sometimes bounce around, get knocked, and this is just meant to keep it upright. And I thought it would be better to try making it porous so there's a small amount of flow through it, and hopefully it will act as a safe haven for small things, and also with a little bit of flow through it, it would possibly add to the filtration. Now, let's find out. So I'm putting a little bit of green water in here. The far away one didn't work because it's very difficult to see the flow of anything from that distance, especially with this phone. But you can see the sponge there right now. You can see to the left it is taking in the green water quite nicely. But unfortunately, the color of the gravel is playing against getting me able to see this go through the actual bottom part because it's just too close in color, and I really couldn't see it. So I was actually thinking at this point, how can I check that out? And the easiest way I thought of was actually to take it and put it into my Pleco breeding colony. So I'm going to do that in a few minutes, but I'm going to focus in here on as close as I can get. So please excuse the graininess, because this is obviously further in than my phone is capable of. Funny thing is, actually over the Christmas holidays, I was checking out a new phone, and it has apparently 100 times magnification, and I was thinking about getting it, but I still owe a little bit of money on this. I certainly wasn't going to fork out more money for a phone when this one's perfectly serviceable. So hopefully in a year and a bit, when that contract's up, I will get a new phone and be able to focus in a little bit nicer on this and again see a bit more detail. This is just way too grainy. I think I can see a little bit of movement there, but again, it's really hard to tell if it's actually flow through or just particles in front of the filter, or again just an aberration because of all this graininess. But anyway, it was something I wanted to try out. And obviously it's not nowhere near good enough for this kind of thing. But it does give you a nice view of the pores in that. I mean, it is a very open pore sponge. And it's that part of it I'm not concerned about at all, except possibly it may not trap enough in the way of small particles. But that's okay. I mean, it is, like I said, the sponge wasn't really the one I plan on using for this. It is something that will be replaced once the new sponge comes in. But I wanted to try it out. And so here, this is it being put in. I've stirred it up a little bit. This is the Pleco breeding tank, and there's tons and tons of Plecos in here. I have to clean out the sponges in the box filter on the right quite regularly to give this a chance. So what I'm going to do is leave this in for, this is 24 hours. And it did clear it up a little bit, but what I wanted to check out was the bottom bit. And you can see that it has taken up a fair amount of detritus, which pretty much proves that it works. And the funny thing I find about sponge filters, whenever I stick one in any aquarium, it always seems to get populated by shrimp in moments. They seem to like it even when it's brand new, and there really isn't anything going on in it yet. So there you go, lots of detritus in there. Oh, pardon the bum shot of a Pleco. And so it does take up more than enough for it to do what I want it to do, which is what I was really testing this out for. As a comparison, here is an update for that side-by-side box filter I had put together about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, and I want you to see this because it has an awful lot more flow through. There's a lot more current going through this, and I had designed it that way because it is going to go on a large aquarium, and I wanted a lot of turbulence and turnover for that tank, and I wasn't as concerned about how much time the water was in contact with the biomedia, because this is going to be a secondary filter. Whereas with the sponge filter, And it's more of a design for a one of in an aquarium. And like I said, you can custom design your filters to pretty much any sort of situation you want, and how much flow, turbulence, and all that sort of stuff as well. I thought I'd give you an update on this guy. This is my little flower horn platy, as I called it in that video that he was in. And as you can see, he is still maintaining his symmetry. No other growths are popping out on him. He's still quite happy and healthy and running around, and is still the boss of the tank. I think the little bump on his head is bigger now. Now, this doesn't prove anything, of course. It still may not be genetic, but I'm going to leave him in here for about another month, and then I'm going to give him his own aquarium with his own little harem, and see if it is going to be something that's a trait that will be passed on to his offspring. But again, it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, depending upon what you think of this sort of stuff. As long as it doesn't impede his, health and ability to swim and eat and procreate, I don't think it really matters. So I'm just going to keep it going and see how that turns out. Speaking of having babies, this pair here is definitely a pair of females, and they keep laying eggs, they keep fungusing, and nothing's going to come of it. I still haven't decided whether I am going to keep them together and just put them in a display tank for a client, or am I going to break them up and repair them. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, they keep laying eggs, and they don't last long at all, and they turn nice and white. And anyway, I just wanted to put this in here as an update for them as well. Again, they may not be here for much longer because I may put them somewhere else. Now, these guys, on the other hand, are doing really, really well. This is the first batch, the one that they ate most of. There's still a fair number of babies in here. And then, as I had said already, they laid a second batch of eggs. And I was curious to see if they're going to get any better at it. Now, one of the things I should point out before we get onto that is, you can see I have taken out one of the sponges in the intake pipe, and I have increased the turbulence in here. That's mostly because they're a lot older now, and I'm feeding them larger food, so I wanted to have a little bit more turnover in the tank. So this is the pair, and they had the eggs in that little suction cup, but the babies are getting bigger and almost close to free swimming. So they moved them to the back wall here in the corner, and they've stuck them in where the silicone is. And they're actually doing a better job at being parents now. I'm not entirely sure if it has anything to do with their babies being there, or the fact that I had taken the other fish out of the tank, giving them more peace. But you can see their first batch is getting really nice and large now. And I'm actually really quite happy with how this is turning out. Please pardon the amount of infusoria in the tank, but you can see the cloud of babies that are out free swimming now. At this point, I decided to put together another one of the isolation, in-tank isolation for raising the fry. So I put that together. I took a small amount of the babies. I don't want hundreds of these things. So I put that in there. The one in the back is the older fry, and the one in the front is newer because I want to be able to keep an eye on them a little bit better. And like I said, it just took a few of them out. One of the things I noticed, though, is the parents now seem to be keeping the fry, like the fire that's still in the tank. You can see they're in the corner there. The ones that are still there taken care of, they move them to the front of the tank so that they're pretty much right under this. You'll see that in the next clip coming up. But anyway, it's just interesting observations. I don't know if any of it has any real relevance. And again, it's really cloudy because I have to feed the fry that are in the tank, as well as all the other fry, lots of infusoria. And the other thing I've done is for the larger ones now, is I moved them on to not just infusoria, vinegar eels, and microworms. I've moved them on to newly hatched brine shrimp. So they're really putting on some size now. And as always, if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think below. So you can see here, they keep them now pretty much right underneath the chamber where the other fry are. And you see how, in the right through to the back, you can see how big and fat the first spawn's getting. They're doing really quite well. Now, I know a lot of people have asked me to put together a brine shrimp hatchery and see my take on that. I will probably get to that at some point, but for the moment, all I did is I took a jug, the same ones I use for vinegar eels, drill a little hole in the top, put in some air, salt, and water, and brine shrimp eggs, and it works quite well. And I thought I'd show you that simply because you don't always have to do something really elaborate to get something that works, and sometimes like these simple solutions are perfectly fine. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.